learn how to be better of the land we inhabit. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold Santa Rosa City Schools more accountable to the needs of American Indian and Indigenous peoples.
Thank you so much, Trustee McNally. We will continue to honor the past and the present for the future of this land and for our school community with respect and with gratitude. We will move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. All in attendance, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, thank you all for joining us this evening and for participating in today's board meeting. I want to take a moment to welcome everyone back from the holidays and into the new year. I also want to acknowledge the climate crisis that we are experiencing in Sonoma County and the challenges that are yet to come as many in our community recover from this event. If anyone needs support during this recovery time, please do not hesitate to reach out for support. We will get through this challenge as we have in the past together. And we will move on to C3, report of actions taken in closed session. On case number 22307, the board voted unanimously with one abstention to approve the expulsion recommendation. On student case number 222311, the board voted unanimously to approve the expulsion recommendation. Item C4, items considered in closed session for action in open session. We have nothing to report. Item C5, statements of abstention. Are there any statements of abstention from the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will move to item C6, adjustments to the agenda. Board or Superintendent Trunnell, any adjustments? Yes, Trustee Flores.
I'd like to pull item F5 and F6.
Okay, thank you. Any other adjustments? All right, and now we will move to the public. This is an opportunity for the public to let us know if they'd like to speak on any F items or our consent items at the end of our agenda. Do we have any public who'd like to speak?
If there are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on our F items, those are the consent items toward the bottom of the agenda. Please raise your hand at this time. Christina, you would like to comment on an F item, a consent item. Can you please tell us what number or item it is?
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong. I think it's wrong item. Sorry.
Thank you. President Manieri, there are no other hands raised.
Thank you. We will move on to item C7, our special presentations for Student of the Month and Certificated and Classified Employees of the Month. And tonight we have our students, families, and school staff joining us from Santa Rosa High School and from Helen Lehman Elementary School. The presentations this evening will honor our students for their academics, their character, and other praiseworthy accomplishments. We will also be honoring our certificated and classified employees for their outstanding dedication and service. So joining us for these presentations, we have Principal Taganashi from Helen Lehman Elementary School and Dr. Clissold from Santa Rosa High School. So we can start with Helen Lehman Elementary School.
Good evening, members of the Santa Rosa City Schools Board and Superintendent Trunnell. My name is Amy Taganashi. I'm the principal of Helen Lehman Elementary School. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this evening and to be able to recognize some outstanding members of our school community who I have the fortune of spending my days with. I would like to start with an amazing student, Zoe Puikam. Can we give her a round of applause? It is with great honor and respect that I announce Zoe Puikam as our Student of the Year at Helen Lehman Elementary School. Zoe is an exceptional sixth grade student who we have had the fortune of watching grow up since she entered Helen Lehman as a young TK student. Her teachers describe Zoe as a kind, warm, and vibrant student who always demonstrates respect and always has a positive word to share with those around her. She takes initiative with her own learning and often adds her own creative spin to class projects and writing. When asked what she likes about Lehman, Zoe says that she enjoys that hard work is rewarded with fun activities. She appreciates that the learning is focused and organized. Zoe has a lot of people that she calls friends, and she enjoys that everyone is funny and lighthearted. Even when there's an argument, wrongs are quickly forgiven. Zoe says there's no need to hold a grudge. Zoe is a student that embodies all of the qualities of humor, creativity, innovation, and ingenuity that will pave her way towards her bright future. It is a privilege to know and to have Zoe Puicam as a student at Helen Lehman Elementary School. Congratulations, Zoe.
Congratulations, Zoe.
And unfortunately, I have my classified employee of the month is very ill, so ill that she's not even able to come on to Zoom. However, I believe she is watching from home, and we will do a really good job celebrating her when she gets back to school. I would still like to read her acknowledgement because she is a phenomenal person. Lydia Centeno. When asked to identify the classified employee of the month, I found that the choice was an easy one. It is with a great honor that I announce Ms. Lydia Centeno as our classified employee of the year for Helen Lehman. Lydia has worked as a noon duty aide extraordinaire for more than 20 years at Helen Lehman. During her tenure, she has seen both her children and her grandchildren attend and excel at our school. Whether to her own children or to her dolphin children, she imparts an example of excellence and pride through every endeavor. We can always count on Lydia to show up for staff and for students in countless ways that are wonderful, supportive, and memorable. Lydia embodies a grounding force on our campus, and we all feel so fortunate to have such a compassionate, brave, and dedicated staff member on our team as we navigate challenges and work to guide our students towards success. Lydia recently became a US citizen, and this country is the better for it. Lydia truly embodies the spirit and vision of Santa Rosa City Schools. We will forever appreciate her sense of humor, her perseverance, and the genuine interest she takes in each and every one of our students. Felicidades, Lydia. Usted merece este gran reconocimiento. Thank you. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have our certificated employee of the year, Mr. Robert Oliver. It is my great honor and privilege to recognize Robert Oliver as the certificated employee of the year for Helen Lehman Elementary School. Robert Oliver has been a teacher at Helen Lehman for the past 22 years. Prior to his tenure at Lehman, he taught first grade for 6 years at Albert Biela Elementary. Mr. Oliver is a beloved second grade teacher who shows up each day demonstrating compassion, dedication, and inspiration. He provides a consistent and predictable structure in his classroom that nurtures his young students' minds and allows them to reach for the stars. He and his students take an active role in the garden, and his class can often be seen picking up trash around campus, imparting the valuable lesson of leaving a place better than you found it. Mr. Oliver is planning to retire at the end of the school year if we let him. We'll see. And even though we will miss him terribly, he has most certainly left this place better than he found it. We will remember him for his sharp wit, his infectious smile, and his willingness to be a part of the team. We wish him all of the best in the next chapter of his life. Mr. Oliver, we hope that you can look back on this stellar career of yours and see the beautiful and lasting legacy that you will be leaving behind. We thank you for your enduring dedication to our students, our staff, and their families. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations to everyone. Thank you, Principal Taganashi, for your beautiful words. Next, we have Dr. Clissold from Santa Rosa High School to give Santa Rosa High School's presentations.
Good evening. I am excited to be here representing Santa Rosa High School and recognizing our student of the month, Andre Achacon. Yes, please applaud. Santa Rosa High School recognizes Andre Achacon, class of 2023, as our student of the year / month because of the persistence and passion he has demonstrated as a student and a leader at Santa Rosa High School over the last 4 years. Like most first-year students at Santa Rosa High, Andre started looking for his voice and fit. Andre has since etched out his legacy here at Santa Rosa High, serving as a class officer and member of the student government for 4 years. He was a significant contributor as a student leader during COVID, designing and facilitating student activities to create opportunities for our students to engage during the pandemic when they couldn't come to school. His work, along with our ASB members, to leverage social media by creating the Panther Prowl, creating a new COVID-safe drive-through event that students and the community could enjoy, has been outstanding. As the ASB president, he advocated and provided leadership to bring Santa Rosa High School Student Senate back with a focus on supporting inclusion and an opportunity for all students in school activities and events. Andre has and is a glowing beacon of school spirit for others at Santa Rosa High. Andre's teachers describe them as warm, committed, and determined, a person that illuminates the room with ideas and energy. Andre is astonishingly brave in putting his heart and conviction out in the world, exhibiting caring and tremendous creativity. Andre spreads inclusivity, positivity, and cares for his fellow students and what they are going through. Andre's student government teacher describes him as a steadfast, thoughtful person who has had a hand in every student-based activity in 2022 here at Santa Rosa High. This activism and energy into activities here on campus is significant for 2 reasons. First, it shows Andre is giving of his time and committed to his position as student body president. The other reason is that though all this extra work and time, Andre still maintains a stellar unweighted GPA of 3.73. Santa Rosa High School is privileged to have Andre Achacon as a student. Congratulations, Andre, on this well-deserved recognition. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Once a Panther, always a Panther.
Congratulations, Andre.
At this time, I'd like to welcome down our classified employee of the month, Alejandro Escobar Jr. I'd like to read a little bit about Mr. Escobar, or as we know him around campus as Alex. In the 2022-2023 school year, Santa Rosa High School would like to celebrate and recognize the exemplary work and contribution of our head custodian, Alejandro Escobar Jr. Mr. Escobar started in Santa Rosa City Schools in May of 2016 as a custodian. He became a head custodian in January of 2017 and then joined the Panther family in the fall of 2019 and has made a difference on our campus from day one. Santa Rosa High School is one of the largest and oldest facilities in Santa Rosa City Schools. Keeping a school like this running takes a village and leadership, especially now. Mr. Escobar's work is and has been stellar. As much as anyone working in a school deserves praise and support for all the work they do inside and out of school, there are many unsung heroes like Mr. Escobar that walk the halls every day, making sure our students have a safe space where they can learn and grow. Mr. Escobar makes a difference on our campus daily and on most weekends, and his positivity and hard work is unbelievable. He welcomes all students and engages with them regularly and respectfully on campus, serving as a positive role model for our school. There is never a job too small or too large. Those who work with Mr. Escobar often comment that he treats them respectfully while holding them accountable for doing their work well. His work ethic and integrity are always evident. Mr. Escobar, as our head custodian, is responsible for more than just keeping floors clean, wiping tables, hitting the lights on and off for the day. He and his team at Santa Rosa High are the first line of defense against viruses like COVID-19, harmful bacteria, and other threats to the health and safety of those on our campus. His work, especially now, can only be described as heroic and fearless. Over the past 2 years of uncertainty, Mr. Escobar has led the way to ensure that our school site was safe and clean as possible. Mr. Escobar's dedication, caring, and work as a custodian and team leader for our custodial staff are never ending. Students and staff know that Mr. Escobar is someone they can count on and that he cares about them in the school because his work and the personal attention he gives to requests and needs of those on campus. Custodial professionals like Mr. Escobar help enhance the physical well-being of our student, staff, and teachers by providing a clean and safe environment. In part, Mr. Escobar's success has come from his effective and consistent partnering with the district maintenance support to maintain and improve the facilities at Santa Rosa High School. No acknowledgement or gratitude is adequate for Mr. Escobar and his team's work on our campus. I speak for all of us at Santa Rosa High when I say thank you for your hard work and dedication. It's an honor to work alongside you.
You know, he was one of my students, so I'm gonna go over there and take a picture with him.
At this time, I'd like to welcome down Kevin Costello. In the 2022-2023 school year, Santa Rosa High School would like to celebrate and recognize the exemplary work and contribution of Mr. Kevin Costello. Mr. Costello began teaching in 2007 and has taught in Santa Rosa City Schools at Santa Rosa High School since 2017. Teaching woodshop in our career technical education program, which became recognized as a California Career Technical School of Excellence as part of Mr. Costello's efforts and work as a teacher there. Mr. Costello is one of the advisors for Skill USA and coaches our softball team and is always willing not to take on any job with a smile. Mr. Costello is student-centered and a hard worker and he helps his students work hard, be creative, and take chances. This is evident by anyone who follows Santa Rosa High School on our Facebook page. You can see the work of Mr. Costello's students in their classes celebrated on our pictures posted online. The wood shop, under his instruction, has created many auction items for our school, including planter boxes, side tables, cutting boards, school benches. We have one newly made and sitting in our main building right now. To put it succinctly, Mr. Costello is a fabulous teacher and a committed lifelong learner who sets an example for his students and those who work with him. He welcomes all learners into his classroom with enthusiasm and a smile. No one is ever turned away and no one is ever disappointed in his class. Every student can find success with and in Mr. Costello. In addition to his teaching load in the school year, Mr. Costello has taught construction enrichment programs during the summer and most recently taught a women in construction camp this past summer where girls were provided a week-long hands-on experience in construction. Mr. Costello will be teaching another women in construction camp later this January. I highly recommend checking it out if you are interested. Mr. Costello says his favorite part of teaching is that light bulb moment when students get it, which is evident in the care, consideration, and effort he puts forward to welcome and encourage all students. Mr. Costello is respected by his staff, teacher, families, and students because he works with anyone and helps everyone. He approaches each day and task with a positive attitude. He never complains and is always willing to do what he can. His students speak highly of him, saying, "I can respect him because I know he respects me." Mr. Costello is an asset to our school and the education profession. His dedication to our campus and students is commended and appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Costello.
Thank you, Dr. Clissold, and congratulations again to all of our students, classified and certificated employees of the year at your school sites. We are now going to be moving on to C8, school site parent organization updates, and we have representatives from Helen Lehman Elementary School and Santa Rosa High School. We will begin with Helen Lehman Elementary School. We have Maribel Rodriguez and Marta Rodriguez joining us this evening.
Unfortunately, it seems that neither of my representatives were able to be here. However, I did have, do you happen to see Daniela Rosso on? She was going to be speaking on behalf of Maribel Rodriguez.
I do not see Daniela.
I do have the reports that I worked with them to create. Would you like me to share those out?
Sure, thank you.
Okay. I'll start with my parent-faculty organization report. I may just read it as if it was there, so if that's okay. Of course, like that. Is that better? Okay. Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Trunell. My name is Marta Rodriguez, and I'm a member of the parent-faculty organization at Helen Lehman Elementary School. I would like to present some of the work that we have been doing at our school this year. We work together to promote events to celebrate and to bring our community together. During these events, we sell food to raise money for our school programs. One event that we had recently was the Posada celebration in the month of December. We also support the family game night in the spring. Other occasions during which we raise funds by selling food were back to school night, open house. We hope to plan a sweetheart dance and movie nights. We also had a C's Candy fundraiser that was very profitable for our organization. The money we collect from these fundraisers is used to help the school with requests from teachers, the principal, and the community. In the past year, we have used funds to help support the 6th grade promotion, provide incentives for Dolphin Dollar prizes, to fund special equipment and materials for classrooms, field trips, and any other requests that we feel will enrich our children's educational experience. We also like to provide a teacher appreciation lunch at the end of the school year. Finally, to help our school, we hope to bring the community together to promote campus beautification days. These are great opportunities to improve our school and to create bonds between the students, families, and school staff. We, the PFO of Helen Lehman, are proud to promote these great accomplishments to help our school and our students. Moving on to our ELAC. Good evening, board members of the board and Superintendent Trunnell. I'm going to do it on a behalf. My name is Daniela Rosso, and I'm a member of the English Language Advisory Council at Helen Lehman Elementary School. On behalf of our ELAC president, Maribel Rodriguez, I would like to present some of the work that we have been doing at our school this year. Our ELAC committee meets together in person once a month. We spend time at the beginning of each meeting with a connection activity in order to get to know one another a little better and find things that we have in common. For the remainder of the meetings, we work together to look at the school plan for student achievement in order to familiarize ourselves with what the goals are for our school and how funds are distributed. We conduct computer classes for families so that they can learn how to navigate the different school platforms, such as Parent Square, our school and district websites, and ClassLink. For each of the last 2 years, we have created a family needs assessment to better understand and respond to the needs expressed by our school community. We are concerned by the low attendance at our meetings, and we have tried different ways to increase the attendance. We post the agenda and meeting invitation on Parent Square, on Facebook, and in print. We have tried to offer a Zoom option as well to participate. We also have raffle prizes and food to encourage more people to come to the meetings. We will keep trying to include more members of our school community because we know that together we are stronger. To close, we would like to share another concern that our parent community has expressed on multiple occasions during our meetings. That is our students' safety while they are on campus. We are concerned that there is no fence in the front nor in the back of our campus that tells people that they are entering school grounds. The front of the campus is open to a busy road, and the back of the campus is open to a park. Even though we know that the school staff work hard to keep our students safe, we feel more could be done to do so. We are requesting that a fence be installed around the campus to keep our kids safe and protected while at school. We appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Taganashi. And now we will move on to our reports from Santa Rosa High School. Do we have Marta Valdez and Jessica Jones present?
Martha will be joining us on Zoom. I'm going to promote her to panelist and she can give her report.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Crosby. I'm the current treasurer and this is Jessica Jones. She's the co-president of the Santa Rosa Student Teacher Parent Organization. I'm an alumnus of Santa Rosa High School, class of 1996. My daughter is a freshman in the Art Quest dance program. Jessica's daughter is a sophomore and is currently on the Santa Rosa High School sideline and competition cheer team. We are a brand new board, as all the members of the previous board had 2022 graduating seniors. Our organization is rebuilding, as most of the momentum of the organization was lost during the pandemic. We are trying to get more parents and students involved in the group, and we've had monthly meetings so far this year. We are trying, sorry, I lost my spot. The board meetings, or the meetings that we've had this year, have mostly just been attended by the board members, the teacher representative, student representatives from the student activities group. So far this year, we've hosted a staff morning donut day, along with providing dessert for their holiday lunch that happened right before the holiday school break. We also purchased a tree as part of the Pandy Lights fundraiser hosted by the student activities group. We've been instrumental in getting donations for the Peanut Butter and Jelly Club, who reached out to us and requested our help. We are looking to sponsor seniors with all of the various expenses that come up during the senior year. And we'll also be hosting the senior brunch at the end of the year. We do not or have not done very much in fundraising, as the built up reserves and automatic donations set up by some families have kept the organization going. Parents are willing and eager to donate food and other items. However, we've had a tough time getting them to donate their time and participate in the events. We're hoping that we can encourage more parents and students to get involved. I guess in a sense, we're kind of rebuilding, exploring ideas. This organization is, Santa Rosa High School has so many organizations on campus that support the students. So we're kind of the gap that fills the need if we get a request for it. And we've, been working very closely with the principal also to kind of fill the gaps if there's a need for extra funds or donations. Do you have anything else? Okay. So that's all I have to say for Santa Rosa Parent Teacher Organization. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Now we're just going to take a couple of minutes for a little break. So if those who were here for presentations want to stay or head on out, you are more than welcome to do either. Online report. All right, we're going to take one more minute of a break and then we're going to resume our meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to resume our meeting. Board members want to make their way back. Thank you. Okay. And before we move on to item C9, our public comment on non-agenda items, we have one more report that we would like to listen to.
Martha Valdez, go ahead and begin. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, board, members of the board and superintendent. I am Marta Valdez, an elect representative. I would like to share with you some important aspects that we have in our first elect meeting that was held in September, where we decide to have our meetings hybrid in a way that we can increase our participations parents. During the meeting, the vice president posed the question to the committee: how could we improve and support our EL students academically, emotionally, and their families? And we have some recommendations to the school. One of them, it was provide healthy snack for after-school programs. Another one is offer CTU courses in housekeeping, landscaping, childcare, and computer classes. Another one was make progress reports more available to parents. And the next one is guest speakers or presenters from college. And the last one, it was ELAC wants to be more involved in our school activities. Well, from our suggestion, the Santa Rosa High School is now providing after-school snack for students, accessing the Santa Rosa High School Student Learning Center and participation in Santa Rosa High School sports programs. The CTA suggestions have been brought to the director for review, and new classes are being discussed for the next year. And related with the committee participation, related for the progress reports, we know that we have the portal in order to access to this information. And then the ELAC committee participate in the cash for the college night with Santa Rosa JC and 1000 degrees as presenters. The ELAC members decorated a tree in honor of the ELAC committee for Pendy's Holiday Lights Night. It was a very, very important day for try to be a highlight for the community. And it was a fun day too. Then the last point I would like to share is that ELAC members are always looking to expand our program. So we have special days to be, if you want to be involved in this meeting, that can be on Thursday and Thursday, even Thursday, January 26th at 6:30 can be in person or Zoom meeting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marta. Gracias, Marta. We will now move on to C9, public comment on non-agenda items. We are opening it up for public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to the board on non-agenda items only, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any blue cards?
President Manieri, there are no blue cards.
Okay, we will move on to remote attendees.
Thank you. If there are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on a non-agenda item, please raise your hand at this time. Our first speaker is Tina Rogers.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, President, Superintendent, trustees, and board members, and the public. I am inviting you to the Sonoma County Martin Luther King birthday celebration this Sunday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. You can find it on Facebook Live, MLK Committee. Also, you can find it on Zoom, and Superintendent Trinnell has some information if any of the board needs that. I would like to say thank you all and everyone that has participated in the oratorical competition. It's open from 7th to 12th graders. I'm happy to say that Esmeralda, a Latina 10th grader from Elsie Island, has won first place. And also from the Cotati Roanoke Park School District, from Rancho Cotati, we have 11th grader Kayla and Gabriel, the 12th grader. This weekend, this Saturday, will be the poster art competition that is held at Chops Teen Club. And that is for the poster art from grades, I believe it's TK to 8th grade. And let's see here. Pretty much I want to say thank you. Happy New Year to you all, and enjoy a great Martin Luther King birthday holiday weekend. And at Santa Rosa Middle School, we were doing Hymn and Day for the 7th and 8th graders, while we're having assemblies, workshops, and special arts provided by Rice's Collective. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you, Tina.
Our next speaker is Adina Flores.
Hello, board. Actually, your next speaker.
My apologies. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Shelby Pryor. I just wanted to tone in to let you guys know that we aren't going anywhere. We're going to continue to apply pressure until we have a resolution as to what has taken place through funding initiatives, conflicts of interest, other issues throughout the Santa Rosa School District, as well as the Board of Supervisors. I was blessed enough to be able to actually have a momentary conversation with Ms. De La Cruz to find out that she also is biracial. I kind of touched on it in my last comment before that, but now I better understand Ms. De La Cruz's passion for where she sits. I see that you guys have elected a new board president, as Mr. Ed Sheffield did such a terrible job representing us as Black people within our community. And also as part of the problem with the vaccination shareholders and stuff like that. We can talk more and more about this. We're going to continue to have these conversations and continue to expect and expound upon those conversations, regardless what you think. The next thing I would like to say is I don't appreciate the unfair treatment of my fiance, Ms. Adina Flores, who has done nothing but looked out for the best interest of every single student and parent who didn't want to participate whatsoever in your vaccine mandated policies and things that you've allowed people to suffer through during this pandemic. I find it very disgusting that you guys are still pushing this into minority-based groups, and you guys are part of that problem. I would like to see some accountability, some understanding, and giving people the ability to get back to their everyday lives without using the scare tactics that you guys have used. Also, I would hope at some point we can come to the table and discuss what it looks like for individuals within your community that don't look that role or that part as being a Caucasian in your community. I like to see that you guys are celebrating Martin Luther King Day. I wish you guys would actually understand what that really means and what that looks like, because people like myself, Ms. De La Cruz, and other individuals would not exist if that man didn't do what he did. So I think that it's very interesting that—
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pryor. Your time is up. Our next speaker is Kelly. Kelly, if you can please state your full name for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, board. I'd like to express my gratitude for Ms. Flores as the largest whistleblower in our state. She has continually brought forth valid inquiries regarding corruption in local governance, yet she's been berated and silenced for nearly 2 years for speaking up. I definitely echo her concerns below. Why did the County of Sonoma appoint both Assistant Administrator Christina Rivera and Assistant Treasurer Jonathan Cadlick to the county's public financing authority for many years? Their husband and wife dictating the budget. Also, their daughter is a senior associate to Ginkgo Bioworks, implementing nationwide COVID-19 testing in schools. Huge conflict of interest there. Why did the county also refuse to conduct collective bargaining with the SEIU and all other unions before implementing countywide COVID-19 policies? Ms. Flores has shed light on thousands of concerning matters that essentially nobody can speak to. Although many of us don't speak, there is a large group of the public that would love some answers, especially since things seem to be getting worse in not only our county, but as well as the nation. Your not answers don't help either. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jean B. If you could please state your full name for the record.
Yes, this is Jeannie Basansani. I'd like to start by asking, why is the research and the key questions of Ms. Adina Flores, a local civil rights and humanitarian, being ignored? Why is she being mocked by certain government officials, including Ariel Kelly? Why are officials ignoring the damaging effects of the vaccines on the hearts of children? To quote Dr. Heather Gessling, MD, she says, "Want to know what I'm experiencing on the front lines of medicine? Parents are done with giving their kids any and all vaccines. Not only that, but they're disgusted with what they had already allowed to be injected into their kids. They wish they could turn back the clock." And here's some thoughts from Jason Christoph, who has a school on about the psychology of freedom. "They tricked you into complying, and then they're openly demonstrating that they did trick you, because the shame of being tricked weakens your energy and therefore makes you easier to con with the next con job that they have coming down the pike. They weakened you physically with the poison under your skin, and then they weakened you spiritually by admitting it was a con all along. Don't give in to Operation Weakening. Stand your ground and gather your strength for the next con. Once they convinced you that poison was medicine, that one inverted program opened you up to a tsunami of other inversions. Once you got conditioned to believe that poison makes you healthier, they're going to open up the floodgates into your inverted mind because you can't think straight. If you can be tricked to believe that up is down, white is black, right is left, and right is wrong, you're exactly where they want you to be. If you believed inverted ideas, you will get inverted life results. And that means you're positioned perfectly for their global takeover of weak minds and weak poison bodies. The top 3 causes of death from 2020 to 2023 were watching TV, faith in government, and quote, trusting the quote science. A confused mind is the basis of all mind control, because a confused mind is a mind that's more compliant. This is why the authorities, you all included, who spread misinformation accuse the public of spreading misinformation. This is why they first said no masks, then 1 mask, then 2 masks, then no masks if you took your experimental injection, and then masking again, even if complied fully. It's designed to be confusing.
Thank you, Jean. Your time is up. Our next speaker is Christina. Christina, if you can please state your full name for the record.
Hello, my name is Christina Little. I'm here in support of Miss Adina Flores. I echo the concerns of Kelly. I'm also, why did former Sonoma or Santa Rosa County School Board President Jenny Close receive a massive amount of funding for her several nonprofits, which don't legally exist with the state or the IRS? She's been under investigation with the FPPC for several months. Why did our county supervisor Gore's wife, Elizabeth Gore, spend the $2 million meant to be allocated to the fire victims? She spent it on lobbying for PG&E alongside Miss Nancy Pelosi. Why was the county treasurer, Eric Rosser's wife, selected as the deputy chief of procurement for the COVID-19 division in the county's health services department? There's some extreme conflicts of interest here. Nobody has ever taken this much time to externally audit the inner workings of the district's funding. Yet Ms. Flores is being treated as the criminal. We'd love some answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Deanna Oliveras.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'd like to speak tonight on the subject of school resource officers. I've been really passionate about this subject for the last few years, and although it keeps falling on deaf ears with the superintendent and the school board, I'm going to continue to bring it up as much as possible and to remind parents that just because no big activity or no big horrendous event has happened so far, thank God, on school campuses lately, we need to step up at these board meetings and remind this school board that they're the reasons why the school resource officers are not on all of our high school and junior high campuses. Diane Kitamura, the superintendent before our current superintendent, Trinell, was in agreement with the city of Santa Rosa, as well as our assistant superintendent, Steve Missouri, all wanted the school resource officers on campus, as well as many other administrators. CTA President Will Lyons at the time. I received in a public records request, I would say at probably almost 50 emails from teachers and classified staff, as well as presidents of the classified staff and union that were sent to the board and to the superintendent, saying that please do not take school resource officers off of campus. But because a few key school board people after George Floyd's death wanted to make a political statement, they decided not to get back to the city, and our school resource officers were not put in the budget items for the Measure O. It was at no cost to our school district to have these officers on campus, and they purposely waited and waited and waited, even after an ad hoc committee was formed, comprised of almost 20 people, principals, community members, staff members, teachers, and unanimously they said, we want school resource officers to still be on campus. We just want to change some things to make them better and to make them more maybe friendly or do more restorative practices. And after hours of these people spending their personal volunteer time during this ad hoc committee, and our board still just sat there and didn't take the recommendation of all these people. And so what is the point of an ad hoc committee? Next time when you guys do an ad hoc committee, are you just not going to take the recommendations? Why waste everyone's time? Just do what the few of you want to be done in the first place.
Thank you, Ms. Oliveras. Your time is up. Our next speaker says Zoom user, if you could please state your name for the record.
This is Maria Posey. I've called in and showed up for every 2 weeks that you've been there to ask why Adina Flores has been placed on leave. We still receive no answers. No one is saying anything. It makes zero sense. And I just received something from a parent where they're talking about Sonoma County youth heart screening. So are we all still going to pretend that this heart thing has been going on forever, because it hasn't. This heart thing in youth has happened since you guys have pushed an experimental jab on the kids. You let parents believe that this was safe and healthy. You let them believe it was FDA approved, even though it was shown in a FOIA report with Dr. Massey and other Sonoma County people. And I do believe Ms. De La Cruz was in on that email also, where they said they couldn't push it because it was emergency use authorization. This is something that you have all known. And now we're going to pretend that the Sonoma County Youth Heart Screening is a normal thing that needs to be done for kids. And all of you are responsible for it. All of you should be stepping down. You're supposed to be there advocating for children. The only person that has advocated for children and parents has been Adina Flores, and you guys have placed her on leave. She's being punished for speaking up to the county. She's being punished for speaking up to you guys, and there's still no answers. So I would love to hear it. And I find it, really interesting that we're in the middle of flu, COVID, whatever craziness, but now everyone can sit next to each other in the building. So we're not having to sit, so many seats apart from each other, and not everybody is wearing their mask. And I would also like to add to what Deanna was saying. You guys can't have police officers on campus, but if Adina and Shelby show up at the meetings, because I was with them, I saw it myself. You guys felt the need to have police officers present for that when they have never been a threat to any of you. So it's really disgusting what you guys think you stand for. You stand for nothing except for lining your pockets. Most of you are part of nonprofits, and all of you need to step down. And we do want answers to Adina Flores, and we'll be calling every 2 weeks until we find out.
Thank you. President Manieri, there are no other hands raised.
Thank you so much. So we will be moving on to our D items. These are our report items. And first, we have our CSE President, Mary Lehman, for the California School Employee Association Santa Rosa 75 report. Do we have President Lehman?
There will be no report tonight for CSEA.
Okay, thank you. And we will move on to D2, Santa Rosa Teachers Association. SRTA President Catherine Howell will be giving this report.
Catherine is joining us on Zoom. She's coming over.
Hi, good evening, everyone. President Manieri, Superintendent Trinnell, members of the board, members of the community. Sorry, I can't be with you there in person tonight. Want to start by saying congratulations to everyone that was given their Student of the Month and Teacher of the Month and Classified Employees of the Month just a few minutes ago. I also want to talk tonight about, hopefully you all saw the January 10th governor's budget come out with a COLA predicted to be 8.13%, which is great news, and is also quite a bit higher than was the number that was used for the first interim report, which was 5.38. That was a number that was provided by SCO, and it was in conflict with the Legislative Analyst Office, in conflict with school services. The 8.13 is definitely less than the 8.38 that was predicted by those two agencies, but significantly more than what SCO recommended. I'm saying these things to you. So one, I'm sure you're aware of the governor's budget, but also that, there has been a sort of ongoing, I don't want to say tradition, but an ongoing, sort of operational mode for SCO to sort of be very fiscally conservative, to the extent that Sonoma County is way behind in salaries. At this point in time, there are no districts in Sonoma County at the state average for teacher compensation. Santa Rosa City Schools is close, but we're not there yet. And I just wanted to say that, we need, as a board, I'm asking you as a board, as people that we're all working together for the students of Santa Rosa, to not allow SCO to scare us into thinking that there's not enough money to go around. There's not enough money to pay teachers. There's not enough money to pay classified. These are the messages that SCO is sending by significantly undercutting the COLA. And this is a message that we need to be aware of and prepared to, stand up and say, no, our district is in good financial situation, and we're going to pay classified a living wage, at least Santa Rosa minimum wage, and we need to make sure that our teachers are at least at state average for total compensation, right? We need a Sonoma County that people are proud to live in. We need a city that is attracting families, and we need our schools to be the absolute best they can be. We're not going to achieve that if we allow our county office of education to continually present the school finances as worse than what they actually are, which is really actually very good. A 37% increase in school revenues since 2019. So that's nothing to sneeze at, so to speak. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight, I hope that SRTA is in support of adding 4th grade to Santa Rosa Accelerated Charter School, and I hope that you will vote yes on that. At the same time, I would like you to move forward with caution when thinking about expanding charter schools, because what is happening, whether people are really looking for it or not, certainly was not intentional. But as charter schools have to form their own LCAPs and stick within their own budgets, we are creating equity gaps between the services that are provided to our students. An example of that is CCLA with 800 students, approximately, about 850, I'm being told. And a lot of unduplicated students, their total revenue is much higher than the French American Charter School. So the students of CCLA have reading intervention. They have reading TOSAs to support the teachers. They have, they've got a music program that they're able to pay for. They're able to pay for art for the students. These are things that when you look at the French American Charter, they don't really have that money. They don't have any reading intervention going on at the French American Charter, not because those kids don't need that support, but because that school can't support that expenditure. The same is true for the Santa Rosa Charter for the Arts. And just think to yourself, how many times have you agreed to a program, or this is going to go for all elementary schools, and then there's a breath and someone says, oh, except the charter schools, right? So I think it's time that we think about that I'm imploring this board to be more cognizant of that as we go forward, and that we're not creating charter schools that are way behind the supports that we're able to give our students at our regular public schools. So those are some things for you to think about, and thank you for listening to me. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, President Howell, for your report. We will now move on to our superintendent report.
Thank you. Hear me? President Manieri, members of the board, those who are with us in person and online. As is tradition for me, today marks day 91 of the 22-23 school year for elementary and day 90 for secondary. We are halfway through the school year. Happy New Year, everyone. 2023 has certainly already gotten our attention. I want to take a moment to thank all of our staff who faced coming to work through the storms, as well as our families, and all of those who worked to ensure that our schools stayed open over these 2 weeks. It is critical that our students are in school. I also want to thank all of the first responders who have worked behind the scenes to get power back on, to keep power on, and to address emergencies. We are thinking of our neighbor districts in the county that have been forced to close over several days and hoping that they and their communities are safe. I want to share that we will be hosting a special board meeting next Wednesday, starting at 5:30 p.m. in the Santa Rosa High School multipurpose room. The City Hall chambers was unavailable to us on this date. The focus for the meeting will be on a continuation of the feasibility study conversation. We will post the agenda this Friday, and the meeting will be held in a hybrid format to allow people to be in person and also on Zoom. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, President Manieri.
Thank you, Superintendent Tranel. Now we will move on to D4, the board president report. And in lieu of my report this evening, we have actually a special presentation for our outgoing president, Ed Sheffield. So Ed, in honor of your leadership and service in 2022, we have a gift for you. You definitely leave a legacy of staying cool under immense pressure. And we are so grateful for your continued service to our students, families, staff, and community. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This was really nice. Thank you. I just have to say, it was, I think, my commitment to our school community is there. It's there because I have support from a really, really good, strong team here, and just love working with you guys. And, last year was a rough year for me personally, a lot of family loss, and you guys were there for me, supporting me through it all, and just really appreciate it. I love this team. I love working with all of you guys. Love this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And now we have our board member reports. Do we have any board members who have any reports this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to a CSBA report. Do we have one this evening?
We do not.
Thank you. We have reached our E items. These are our discussion and action items, and we will begin with E1. This is an action item, board communication norms review. The board will discuss and consider approval of the communication norms guidelines. I am presenting this discussion item. Board, in your agenda packet, you have the board communication norms document for 2023. This is the document we utilize to effectively communicate with each other and the superintendent. Again, this is an action item. Are there any board member questions? Seeing none, we will move on to public comment if we have any.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E1, board communication norms review. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, so this is an action item. I'm bringing it back to the board for further questions, discussion, or a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Director Fong and seconded by Director Flores. Can we get a roll call vote?
Director Fong.
Aye.
Director Flores.
Aye.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director McNally.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. That passes, and we move on to item E2, material revision for Santa Rosa Accelerated Charter School. This is a discussion item. The Board of Education will receive information as part of a discussion on proposed revisions to the Santa Rosa Accelerated Charter Schools Charter document. The Santa Rosa Accelerated Charter School requests revising the charter to add fourth grade beginning in the 2023-24 school year. And presenting this discussion item are Amy Schluter, John Yee, Burke, Williams, and Sorensen. Oh, I see. John Yee, and Dr. Roger Castro.
Someone can please go get Dr. Castro.
I think the mic is live. Okay, great. Okay, should we start? Hi, thank you so much for having us this evening to discuss our material revision for our charter. I've got a presentation to share with you tonight. Hopefully you've received all the documents in advance and had an opportunity to look over those. But I will share my screen so we can take a look at the presentation and we'll go through the slides. And hopefully Mr. Castro will join us shortly. Okay. Yeah, here and that's our material revision. Okay. All right. It looks like I am able to put that up there for you. Can everybody see that okay? Okay, so we're here tonight to present our material revision and quick overview of our presentation. We're going to talk about the history of our efforts to expand the Santa Rosa Charter School over the years since its inception. We're going to share with you some interest that we collected through some parent surveys. We're going to talk about previous efforts and give you a rundown of the proposed program and the impact that it would have on the budget, the facilities, the staffing, and also the course of study. We'll talk about staffing and management and the reasons that we'd like to make this expansion happen for the next school year. So let's get started. Okay, so here's a little history of the school. I think we opened in 2004 with 2 classrooms, a 5th and a 6th grade. There was a companion charter school approved at that time at Comstock Middle School, but there wasn't enough interest to open it at that time. So it originally opened on the Rincon Valley campus with just a single 5th and a single 6th grade. By the second year, there was such a strong interest that we had to add another class, a combo class, 5th and 6th, raising the capacity to 96 students. But word got round and it became such a high demand program that we were able to have 2 5th grades and 2 6th grades, raising the student population to 128. From that time on, there's been a waiting list. We've got some data to show you that we have as many students on the waiting list as we actually have enrolled in the program, and that has been consistent over the last few years. So here are some of the questions that we asked in our parent survey. And really, since I have taken the leadership role at SRCS, and this is only my 2nd year there, as soon as I was there in that role, I started hearing how wonderful the program was, how we wished we could provide it for more students, and how much interest there was in bringing students and bringing them in earlier. So this really did come from the parent community. And so we started to ask to see if those were just the loud voices or there were more of them and we just weren't getting all the information. So with these questions, we were able to get a broader scope of the opinions about the expansion. Question number 1, do you feel that the district should support more opportunities for students to access the SRCS program? 71% of our parents said yes. This was 85 parents that responded to the survey. 15 were maybe, 3 were no. Would you be in favor of expanding SRCS? 68 yes, 15 were a maybe, and 6 were a no. And if you had a 4th grader, would you place them in this program? So 66% of the family said yes. We actually have an alumni in the audience tonight with his 3rd grade brother, and boy, he's sure hoping that he gets into that 4th grade class if we can make that happen for him. That's your chance to it. Let's go to the next one. We did want to hear some feedback from parents, and so we asked for them to give us some pros and cons to the expansion, and we've shared with you some of those comments here. I have a current third grader and we would love for her to attend SRCS next year as a fourth grader. It's unlike any other program offered. I would love the opportunity to be offered for it to be offered sooner to my younger child. I think adding another grade level would be a huge benefit and make an even stronger community if parents knew that their children were in one place for 3 years. And in some cases, that would be 5 years if they matriculate to the Rincon Valley program. I think fourth graders are developmentally ready for a curriculum that emphasizes depth, complexity, and I think it would make for a stronger overall experience. And I think the staff behind me here too would really agree that that continuity, that scope and sequence, allowing it to emerge over a 3-year program would allow us to see even greater gains for our students. Some concerns were that it is a pretty rigorous model. And, some students, may struggle with it, but I think, when students come into the program, it can be a challenge for them in the beginning, but the staff is very skilled, very tenured in working with students to help scaffold and support them to reach the rigors of the program and the class. And so I think that would extend down to our fourth grade students. There is some concerns about having the younger students on the same campus with the older students, but coming from a K-8 program previously, I think that when you have younger students and older students together, it does allow for us to talk about, how we should be when we are around younger students. And often, siblings are there to support, older siblings are there to support younger siblings, and they get to see how exciting it's going to be when they matriculate up to the junior high. So there are some benefits there too, along with those concerns. We do have the facilities to support some separation though. Definitely SRCS has its own space on the Rincon Valley campus, and there is currently room in that space to add 2 more classrooms. Okay, so here is some of our previous expansion diversification efforts. I know that this isn't the first time that SRCS has come to the board to request this. And I believe Ms. Fong was on the board at that time and may have heard expansion requests before, but this may be new for some of you. So here's a little history. Lewis campus was requested, so SRCS could be more centrally located at one point in time. Busing has also been explored so that we can maybe make it more accessible for the broader community and try to bring students who are interested in the program onto the campus from farther distances. At one point, it was considered moving it to Comstock. But at that point, that was the beginning of CCLA. And I think they were there for a short time. And then they moved on to the Cook campus. Cook campus was offered as part of the Hope School, but there wasn't enough parent interest at that time to move the school to that location. We did implement element H to change the lottery process so that we could include 4-to-1 draws for our free and reduced lunch applications to make it more accessible and to create more equity in the program. The Keyside Integrated Campus was proposed as a satellite site with the idea of changing SRCS to a magnet school to allow for busing, but that also did not come to fruition. All right, so here is 2 charts with our demographics from last year and the year before. As you can see, we do need to work on expanding our ethnic diversity. We would like to use some of the additional funding that we would receive from the additional ADA to do more promotion for our program. And I think that with more promotion and more recruitment, you would see these numbers change and we'd have a more representative population that is more reflective of our local community. This was what I was referring to earlier. As you can see, the number of enrolled students versus the number of waitlisted students. In the dark purple, those are our enrolled students that transfer to us from out of our district. Sarah Stathados was here a few months back doing the board report for SRCS, and well, she submitted her video for the board report. And she talked about how Shracks really is a local neighborhood school. We are in Rankin Valley. Most of the students who come to us are from the Rankin Valley School District. And we feel that they come to us because we offer a program that they don't seem to be able to find in their local area. And we are the closest one to them that offers this level of acceleration. We do have a large waiting list, and there are a few that come to us from inter-district transfers. We get a few from Hidden Valley. I think we maybe had 1 or 2 from Proctor Terrace, but mostly the students that come to us are from the Rankin Valley School District. They have a small charter middle school that some of our students end up going to them, but most of them come from Rankin Valley.
Just quickly, is that only fourth graders or fourth and fifth graders in the wait list?
On the wait list right now, this is 5th and 6th graders because we don't offer a 4th grade yet. So,
Fifth and sixth, that's what I meant, yes.
huh?
So both fifth and sixth graders.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, this is a little bit about our course of study and the foundational curriculum. This is really what makes our program an accelerated program. I'm gonna move this so you can see the slide a little bit better there. And I do have our teachers here tonight. If you have any questions about the curriculum itself, all of the teachers that are at Shracks have been there for many years. And they have worked for years on the collaborative curriculum design committee and created curriculum for the district for many years and have often spoke about advanced learning and advanced learning placement programs. They attend conferences every year, and their real focus is on depth, complexity, and novelty. And so the instruction is very integrated. The ELA that the students are getting comes through their exploration of science and from math. And when they look at problems, they use design thinking models where they look at real world problems and they look at solutions from all the different subject matters. So it's not just looking at math from just one perspective. It's looking at how that math is applied in science throughout history and through the other subjects. And so that's a little bit about how the approach is unique and different and why so many parents, I think, are drawn to it. It's very project-based. Students are allowed to explore topics of interest at a very deep level, and this is what keeps them highly engaged in the program. So some of the reasons that we'd like to expand now is definitely a lot of parent interest. We do get a lot of inquiries, phone calls, questions about, will Shracks expand? Will it become more accessible? We'd really like to have more of our friends and family and our children have the opportunity to experience this wonderful program. So that's really where this is coming from. The local community would like to see this happen. Also, our founding teachers are getting close to retirement. I'm really, really hoping Mr. Williams is going to stick it out one more year, but I guess that he'll let me know. But we're going to start to lose some of this wonderful, rich institutional knowledge about what made this program so wonderful, what makes it such a magnet for families. And we're hoping that we can bring some new teachers in and that we can start, training them to deliver the curriculum in the manner that we have learned is so successful for students. We also currently have the space and believe that we will continue to have space for this program on this campus. And it would allow us to also have a dedicated administrator. Right now, I am the principal of Shracks and also Rankin Valley Middle School. And we have a part-time assistant principal for Shracks. And with a full-time dedicated administrator for SRACS, we could develop even more programs. We could do more outreach. We could work on things like before and after school programs to make it more accessible, explore busing options, which we've tried to do in the past. But, having somebody really working on those initiatives dedicated full-time would actually allow us to bring them to fruition. So I believe that brings me to the end of my presentation. I've put a link to the material revision there if you'd like to look at it digitally, but I also think you have paper copies, and I'm happy now to answer any questions that you may have.
Also, before we move into any questions, I want to make sure there have been some recent changes in charter school legislation around authorization that I think are not unique to this particular revision, but that are integral to the discussion. And so we have here tonight John Ye from Burke, Williams, and Sorensen to make sure that the board has that information, because it will be important in any discussion for revisions moving forward. So John, if you.
Thank you. Thank you. John Ye from Burke, Williams, and Sorensen. The law did change a few years ago addressing the issue of the location of the charter school. And one of the unusual features of SRACS is that it's located within the boundaries of the Rincon Valley District for the grade levels that it serves. So under AB 1507, which took effect almost 2.5 years ago, there's kind of a grace period. So the SRACS charter, the current charter, expires on June 30th, 2025. So what the new law says is that before the end of its term in June of 2025, SRACS has to do one of two things. It has to obtain the written permission or written consent of the Rincon Valley District to continue operating within its boundaries. And if it does so after the renewal of the term, SRACS may continue to operate within Rincon Valley's boundaries and still be authorized by Santa Rosa City Schools. If Rincon Valley doesn't provide the written consent to continue operating there, then SRACS would have to actually apply for renewal of its charter beyond 2025 and have Rincon Valley to become the authorizer. So that's the law's way of fixing or addressing the issue and trying to have all charter schools located within the geographic boundaries of the district that authorizes them. So essentially, put another way, just to boil it down, if after beyond the expiration of the current term in 2025, if Santa Rosa City Schools wishes to continue being the authorizer of SRACS, one of two things would need to happen. The school would need to move to a site within Santa Rosa City Schools boundaries for the grade levels served by the charter school, or two, Rincon Valley would have to give written permission or written consent for SRACS to continue operating within its boundaries. So this is an item that we're bringing up tonight to put on your radar. There is a runway up to it because the things that need to happen legally need to happen before the end of the 24-25 school year. But since it's a new law and a potentially impactful law, we wanted to put it on your radar because we believe any discussion of SRACS needs to consider that possibility on the horizon. So as for the material revision, the education code requires that if a charter school wants to make a material revision, which includes the addition of grade levels, it needs to have the approval of the board that authorized the charter, which is the board. And tonight, this is for discussion only. There's no action tonight, but at the next meeting, there will be the education code procedures of having a public hearing on the material revision, and then the board will be asked to make a decision as to whether to approve or deny the material revision. And before that meeting, with the staff, with the agenda material, staff will post an evaluation and provide a discussion of the legal standard under which you would make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you all for that presentation. So this is a discussion item. Do board members have any questions? I see trustee Flores and then trustee Fong and then trustee Sheffield.
So in terms of if the authorization gets denied by Rincon Valley, isn't there appeal process to the county or the state?
Yes, as the question is, if Trax does petition to become authorized from Rincon Valley and that's denied, Trax might has the ability under the education code to appeal that decision to the county office, the county board of education. And if the county board denies it, subsequently the state board of education as well.
Thank you. That's it.
Trustee Fong and trustee Medina, I have you after trustee Sheffield.
Well, I was prepared for like 3 more questions ever, so. All right. Could the teachers at the school raise your hands? Thank you for being here. And the former teacher of the school, one of the founding teachers of the school, Ms. Williams, thank you. I have some quick questions and then a longer one. Have we gotten any renewals before? Is this the first renewal of this charter?
No, it's the charter's been since 2004, and it comes up for renewal every 3 years. I believe the last time it was renewed for 5 years, and usually a charter can be renewed 3, 5, or 7, depending on its academic performance. If it's proven to be a successful program, then you can ask for a longer period before a charter is renewed. But we also got the extension because of COVID. So this is not the first time it's been brought to the board for renewal. This is just the first time. No, it's not the first time it's been here as a material revision with a request for expansion.
And Rincon Valley has not objected so far.
The Rincon Valley School
District.
So far, no, it has not.
May I?
Not to my knowledge.
So, technically speaking, the Rincon Valley School District has not been given the opportunity to deny, and so therefore we can't speak on what their position is at this time.
They will be given that opportunity this time around.
They will be given that opportunity before the end of the 2024-2025 school year.
All right, I have 2 questions, other questions. And you don't have to supply it now. It could be when it comes back. I'd like to know the demographics of the population of the school, not just the ethnicity, but special ed, English language learner, free and reduced lunch. Those would be good numbers to have. And you say that there are 2 classrooms that are available. We haven't expanded the school because there wasn't room, and now there's room. Could you explain more about why there's room now?
So since I have taken the leadership there, have had probably 4 or 5 classrooms that have been empty. And that is because there has been some declining enrollment. I believe that that is a result of Rincon Valley opening a charter middle school that is near Rincon Valley. So they now have an opportunity for their students to go to 7th and 8th grade within their district, which I believe actually operates within our secondary school district. So if the law also applies to them, I think they would have to request from us permission to continue to run that charter because it's within our bounds. But I would want to check with that, but I believe that's the case. So that is what maybe has impacted our enrollment, not only at Rincon Valley, but also at Slater. I believe we also used to get many students in 7th and 8th grade from the French American Charter School. And now that they have also increased to a 7th and 8th grade program, we may no longer be seeing those students come to Rincon Valley. And so that is why I believe we have room on our campus, and this would be a great way to fill those classrooms and expand the SRCS program.
And Principal Schluter, you may, I don't know if you can answer this or not, and you may come back to us later, but, and there's no right answer to this. What might be the opportunity cost of expanding Shracks?
Can you repeat the question?
What might be the opportunity costs of expanding Shracks to fourth grade?
So are we talking about budget impacts? Yeah, the fiscal impact?
Not just fiscal, but you
Mhm.
know, and you may not be able to answer it right now. You may
Mhm.
take some time to think about this, but everything has a cost, not just fiscal costs, but what else might we not be doing at Rincon Valley or in our district if we provide fourth grade classrooms at Shracks?
So when I hear the word opportunity, I think of all the wonderful things that could come out of this. And one of them being like the fiscal health and the sustainability of Shracks itself. Also, I do think that it will allow us to, work collaboratively with the two sites together. It really helps that the Shracks kiddos are familiar with our campus when they matriculate to us. So it's a nice transition for those students. But if you could expand more on your question, I think maybe I could give you a more nuanced and detailed answer.
And you may not now, but maybe when you come back, for example, if we start to get fourth graders, where will those fourth graders come from? What might it be costing us in terms of other opportunities for kids at the campus that we now have fourth graders versus now we can have something else? Just what might we be giving up if we added this? That's the bigger question. And I don't think you should answer it tonight, but think about that.
I'll consult with the team and we'll be prepared to answer those questions when we return.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fung. Trustee Sheffield.
Thank you. And Principal Schluter, thank you for the presentation. I have a few questions, and one I'm just going to go back to the Rincon Valley role and the need for permission. I'm wondering at this time, has there been any, I know not discussions because we're jumping the gun there. Are they aware that this is an interest? Is there any indication that they might be aware that this is on
The
radar?
Rincon Valley School District?
Correct.
I do believe that the Rincon Valley School District is aware of the expansion. And that is because many of our parents are members of various parent organizations at all of our feeder schools. So these parents come from Whited, Binkley, Austin Creek. These are all
That's
Rincon
my
Valley.
next question is
Yeah.
other districts are now, how familiar are they or neighboring
Yes,
districts?
and so all of the parents were made aware that we were pursuing the expansion because of the survey data that we took. And so they obviously are involved with their schools. And so many of them have made the district administration aware that we are exploring this. And I think they're just kind of waiting to see how this presentation goes tonight and what your thoughts are on it. And, if you would like me to reach out and make sure that I can hear their concerns about it, and I can
Well, I'm
maybe
sure
bring
we
back some
will.
of that information.
We
Yeah.
certainly will. I'm just kind of knowing what we might be getting ourselves into. Oftentimes the decisions that this board makes impacts our neighboring districts.
Absolutely. And I don't think if you were to reach out to them and say that you wanted to discuss this, it would become as a surprise.
Okay, thank you.
Formally speaking, the superintendent has been informed that this conversation would be happening tonight. And I do not recommend that there be cross discussion until the board has had time to potentially consider action.
Thank you, Superintendent. And the issue becomes political, and if we're talking about Rincon Charter physically being located within our boundaries and this charter being physically located within their boundaries, it definitely complicates things a bit. Definitely need for further discussion. Next question I have is around the parent surveys and the responses, and I very much appreciate seeing some of the samples of the responses. There was one comment that I definitely can attest to. It's unlike any other program offered. I have a kid that goes there, and it certainly is. It certainly is. And my question on the to counter that, it was a con. Would fourth graders be ready for this type of rigor? Is it scalable? Can we make it fourth grade appropriate? I see some nods from the teachers out there.
I was just
but-
wondering if you would rather have a teacher speak to that question. And I'm happy to invite one of our instructors down here to answer that, or would you like me to try to speak on their behalf?
If we have a teacher who wants to speak to this, certainly, I am curious to know how this would be done. So,
We sure do, yeah.
okay. Hi, come on down. Come on down.
Hello.
Hello.
So talking about scalability, as far as bringing it to fourth grade, really the person that should be speaking is my wife, but I will talk a little bit about it. From the very beginning, the programs, and she's been working with these particular ideas from kindergarten on up to high school. And the whole idea of the program is one that allows students to really engage in their own education. And I don't think there's any age that's too young to really take on engaging in your own education, to really feel like you have power in what you're learning. And that's what this really allows, is students to have power in what they're learning. Students to feel like they have some say about what's going on. And actually feel like this is meaningful to my life, not only presently, but in the future. And so as far as SRCS is concerned, that idea of learning that Anna Williams started when we first opened the school is something that is a powerful way for individuals to gain access to their education, feel like they have power in what they're learning, and feel like it's meaningful to them. And that, I think, is very scalable at any level we want to have
it. Some confidence there. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Williams. My third question is, and it was brought up by Trustee Fong, was around the student demographics. And I'm curious, wonder if expanded this request now, how would the school propose approaching this issue?
So we did implement element H to help increase our diversity in our socioeconomic levels at the school. So I'm assuming everyone's familiar with element H, but that is a change in the way the lottery is drawn so that students who are classified as socioeconomically disadvantaged are drawn 4-to-1 for other students so that we can make sure we're providing opportunities for students that might not otherwise find them in their local school. We also hope with the additional funds that the ADA will generate to do a broader outreach for our program and to let the larger population of Santa Rosa know that this program exists and work with them to find ways to give access to it to their student. And that will mean creating before school program opportunities, after school program opportunities, so parents who are working and have to do the travel time can still bring their students to SRCS. We're also going to continue to explore busing options. Again, these things do cost money. And I believe Ms. Howell spoke to how sometimes charter schools, because they operate within their own LCAP and their own budget, we do have limited funds and we have to decide how we're going to spend them to best serve the student population. And this will allow us to have more funds to do those kinds of outreach and initiative programs, making it more accessible and providing greater equity. I feel like programs like this actually increase equity because, as we all know from our studies, equity, is a problem inherent in the existing structure. When we take away advanced learning programs, we just eliminate the opportunity even more. And so these types of programs are going to be what helps us create equity in this district. We just have to make it accessible for those students. And that's what we hope to do.
I have more questions, but I'll hold on. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sheffield. Vice President Medina, and then Trustee De La Cruz.
Thank you. First, I would like to say, I think in relation to the law and the permission, not only do we need to be paying attention to Rincon Valley, but we need to remember that we also got this issue with CCLA and the Wright School District that needs to be on our radar. And one of the questions that I have, I don't know if this is for Superintendent Trinnell, does it make sense to expand on existing facilities without knowing what might happen or if we'd be challenged on having SRCS in its existing location by the Rincon Valley School District? Does it make sense to start like discussion or negotiation around that before we expand, or would we need to potentially find a different facility in a different location? That's my first question.
So thank you for the question, Trustee Medina. That is a consideration that is going to be very important for the board to consider. With the expansion of the program, as the current program stands, there are resources that have been dedicated to the literal facilities and grounds at the Rincon Valley Middle School campus. And with the expansion, I would imagine that that will also be considered. And if for a reason Rincon Valley Elementary District decides that they are not going to allow or sign off, and it does not pass through the county and is denied through the county and denied through the state, there is the potential that the school would have to be moved. And therefore, there would be a question about the types of resources that have now been permanently dedicated to the Rincon Valley Middle School site, which would have to be moved as well.
So, but I guess in terms of timing, I think it has to happen by 2025 is what I believe I heard and read. But does it, I don't know the process and protocol around this since this is all fairly new law. Are there things that we can do in advance of like our decision to make sure that this will kind of go smoothly without, future issues?
I'm going to ask Mr. Ye, but I think perhaps the question is, might we need to engage with Rincon Valley District sooner to get a sense of, what the future might bring so that we can know and indicate whether it's going to be fiscally responsible to dedicate additional funding to a particular site when we might be forced to move anyway. Is that am I interpreting that correctly, Trustee Medina?
I think it's something that we need to be aware of, and like, how can we best plan for it? And I think for me, it feels like it would be it would make sense to begin having that discussion with the other district around this issue as we work towards making a decision. I agree with President Howe that this is something important for this specific school. I think it would benefit the students and what happens, but I think these are issues that we need to consider, and I feel we need to be aware of in terms of making a decision.
For the question as to whether to outreach to the Rincon Valley district, I think that would be recommended. I mean, there is in excess of 2 school years to work on the issue, but those years go fast. And so I would echo Superintendent Trinnell's recommendation that it be maybe between superintendents as opposed to having several cross conversations take place. I guess the best way to put it is that the material revision decision on whether to add 4th grade is a decision on its own merits under the education code. You'll look at it under the criteria, but it's not entirely in a vacuum because the location issue is technically a separate issue, but that issue is on the horizon in 2.5 years and may have a major impact as well. So I think that may be the way to think about it, is that it's sometimes it may be good to know where the horse is going before you put the cart, right, to torture a metaphor. But I think you do have to look at both decisions in conjunction.
Thank you. And like I said, in terms of adding the 4th grade, in general, I feel like I'm in agreement of that, but I think we need to consider all these other things.
Thank you, Vice President Medina. Director De La Cruz, and then Director Fong.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Sorry, I'm distracted by this saying it's unmuted and then, okay, here we go. I'm grateful for the explanation around kind of how the lottery has been changed to make it more possible for underserved kids to have access. I'm interested in hearing more about the outreach program, and I'd love, in line with President Fong's request for more information on broader demographics of the school, to also understand the demographics of your teaching staff.
Yes, I do have the student demographics from the California State Dashboard available to share with you this evening. If you'd like me to do that with you now, or I can wait for our next opportunity when we meet. Would you like me to share those numbers with you now? Yeah, so according to the California State Dashboard, our enrollment last year was 128 students. We had 10.9% that were identified as socioeconomically disadvantaged, 0.8% were English learners, and we did not have any foster youth enrolled with us last year. Our teaching demographics staff is sitting right behind me. There's only 4 of them, and they're all here right now. So Mr. Williams is here. 3. Oh, Ms. Blair's not here, but we have Ms. Walls, Ms. Loopstra, Ms. Blair's, and Mr. Williams, and Ivana Uvanek, who is our ESOM, myself, and Ms. Dathados, who is our newly hired assistant principal.
And then with regard to your outreach plans or your vision for outreach to underrepresented students?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure, I'd just love to hear a little bit more about your outreach plan. So you mentioned doing outreach to increase accessibility, but I'm just curious about what that outreach plan looks like beyond changing of the chart of the lottery system.
Right. So we have not done a lot of advertisement for the program because it hasn't been necessary. We've obviously had more interest in applications than we've had spots available. But because of that, we've just had a lot of the applicants from the local area, people who live near the school and learn about the program through word of mouth. But this is something that we could increase with additional funding to do some more promotions for the program. I would want to consult with the district office about where and how we could do those promotions to make the program more known, broadly known throughout the community, and try to increase some of those demographics that are underrepresented at this time. So we currently want to do it. We don't have a solid plan for it. And before we would do any kind of advertisement, we would want to consult with our district and their PR machine, so to speak, so that we can do it in a very structured, organized way that's actually going to get to the outcome that we're looking for.
I think that's all I have right now. Thanks.
Director Fung?
So notwithstanding the third grader who wants to be there soon next year, right? I'm wondering why the school is asking for a fourth grade expansion when you already have a wait list of over 100% of the school population waiting to go into fifth grade. So why not just expand fifth grade?
Excellent question. Thank you for that. What we're really looking for is to have that continuum of instruction. In the Rincon Valley School District, it has been a model for quite some time to have an early elementary, K through 3, and an upper elementary, 4 through 6. And that's a model that has been embraced by that community. I know that when students come to us, it's because they've made that choice to move into an upper elementary program. And we do know that to increase it is going to be a bigger detriment to the schools that we are drawing from. And we want to maintain good, positive relationships with the Rincon Valley School District. And that would make those other upper elementary programs, it would draw too much from them. And we want to have good relationships. So expanding down to fourth grade would do a couple of things. It would allow us to have that 3-year experience for the families. We could then have a scoped and sequenced program, again, that would allow us to accelerate faster. Those of you who are familiar with kind of the shift between third and fourth grade, students from K to 3, really, that's when they're learning to read. But that shift happens in fourth grade where now they're reading to learn. And that's a great time to begin acceleration. And so if we can start then we feel like we can even reach greater potential with these groups of students. But to go 5th and 6th would not be probably a desirable outcome for the Rincon Valley School District, and make it even more difficult for us to negotiate and work with them to continue to have this at the Rincon Valley site.
Director Sheffield, and then we'll move on to public comment.
Just one more quick question. It's the proposal to have one class, fourth graders, or two?
Two. Of course, that would be dependent on the applications that we receive, Yeah. I mean, it's hard to predict, but trends would suggest that we would probably have enough to fill 2 classes.
Director Flores, and then Director De La Cruz, and then we'll move to public comment.
Thank you, President Maneri. So, I'm looking at the data demographics of the district as a whole, right? And I just want to reiterate what Trustee De La Cruz mentioned, that I think we should aim to make sure that we have an equitable set of numbers, right? I was looking at this, and it looks like our total numbers for Santa Rosa City Schools based on this for the 21-22 school year, we had a total of 40.44 of unduplicated students, right? And then a total of 29.6% of free and reduced lunch students. So if we can,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to lift up Trustee Fong's question earlier that was directed to you, Principal Schluter, and kind of turn that around to our superintendent and ask that same question about the opportunity cost for expanding in an area that feels relatively well resourced, and also doesn't reflect the majority of our district and our kids, and that is struggling to be representative of some of these kids. So I'd love to also kind of consider that question and think about the opportunity costs for other areas that require increased investment to ensure that those equitable outcomes. Your outcomes are amazing. They are truly, the gold standard for our district, and those outcomes are not happening in communities of color. Those outcomes are not happening in many, many parts of our district. And so I think that opportunity cost is one that we need to answer for our system as a whole, especially given the demographics of this particular area and this particular school, which is, again, not reflective of our system as a whole.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. We're going to move to public comment now.
If there are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E2, please raise your hand at this time. Our first speaker is Catherine Storrell.
I am not intending to raise my hand. My
Okay.
apologies.
I was wondering if that was a mistake. No problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Deanna Oliveras.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes, Deanna.
Thank you. I haven't put much thought into this. I'm just tuning in now, and this is the first I'm hearing of it. So I haven't thought long and hard about it, but this is a few things that cross my mind is from a parent standpoint of 4 kids that have went through elementary school in Rincon Valley School District to move on to junior high and high school in Santa Rosa City School District. I kind of feel like we shouldn't try to fix something that's not broken. And by that, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of we could put our energy into so many other 4th grade classrooms around the school district, or even perhaps work a little closer with Rincon Valley School District to ensure that the 5th and 6th graders, 4th through 6th graders are prepared by the time they get to the Santa Rosa City School District, junior high and high school. I think that's lacking. I've been involved in Rincon Valley School District for a really long time, and I know that a lot of parents send their kids or try to send their kids to SRCS for many different reasons. And on the administrative or teacher side, teachers, meaning the teachers that teach at SRCS, I think have a different outlook as the parents or maybe even the teachers at other locations of Santa Rosa City Schools. Because I know parents firsthand that send their kids there just because their other kids go into RVMS and they have to go to work, or they have a sibling, near them, or their other siblings at SRCS and they get priority. And that is a predominantly Caucasian school, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's what this area mostly is. But I would find it very funny if the school board, who always talks about equity, votes in, to move forward with this without for sure knowing that we cannot offer transportation to colored or minority or poor kids across town. And that's why that SRCS wouldn't work on another, CCLA or Comstock, because the interest wasn't there. And traffic at RVMS would be probably horrendous. And I feel almost like it's only coming up because of money, like it might be a money issue. And I hope the district will ask other teachers how they feel, and administrators and classified, and other parents, not just the SRCS parents and the SRCS teachers, because I think you could take a lot of students out of other Santa Rosa City school teachers' 4th grade classrooms, and there could potentially be a trickle down effect to have layoffs. And I think that's kind of unfortunate. Santa Rosa City Schools does great with junior high and high school. And I personally wish we would focus on that and maybe even let Rincon Valley deal with the elementary school.
Thank you, Ms. Oliveras. The time is up. President Manieri, there are no other hands raised.
Okay, this is a discussion item, so I'm bringing it back to the board for any further discussion. Director Fung.
I just want to acknowledge and thank the teaching staff, the founding teachers, the current teachers for the incredible type of work that is happening concentrated in one site. It doesn't mean that other classrooms, other teachers aren't doing this kind of work, but when it's at one site, it just is so pervasive, so positively pervasive and setting these kids up for to be great learners. So thank you for the work.
You guys are all incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. And I just want to uplift that Lori asked for demographics other than race or ethnicity. I know we heard some of that, but I don't know if you want to bring that back also at another time. Just clarifying.
Yeah,
I had something
including
else.
special ed, which I don't think I heard that, or maybe, I don't know. So we'll bring it back again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Omar has his hand
Thank you, Mr.
raised.
Ye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Omar, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I think I just also wanted to follow up with, aside from this issue, if maybe staff could come back with a list of like other, in terms of our charter schools, where we might overlap and need to get permission from other districts, and simultaneously districts that may need permission from us as time goes on since the passing of this new law. If we can get that as follow-up and to make sure that we're on top of this for all of our charter schools and charter schools in the area.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item E3. This is also an action item. Resolution of the Board of Education of the City of Santa Rosa Elementary School District certifying all proceedings in the November 8th, 2022 general obligation bond election. So in this item, the board will consider approval of a resolution certifying these results within the elementary school district at which more than 55% of the voters voted to approve Measure G, a $125 million general obligation bond measure. And presenting this item is Associate Superintendent Cavan.
Good evening. Thank you, President Bandieri. Sorry. First, I'd like to start by thanking the community for supporting and continuing to support our school district and the great work that happens here, and understanding that our students and staff need safe and up-to-date facilities to do their best. So thank you. And this evening, we are requesting that the board take action on this. It's really a procedural item to certify the results that have already been certified by the state, by the secretary, or sorry, the register of voters for Santa Rosa City or the county of Sonoma. And so are there questions about the resolution itself? What this does do is it starts a clock for us to establish the a clock of 60 days to establish our bond oversight committee, our citizens oversight committee, because this is a Prop 39 bond. In addition, it also would start the clock for us to be able to start moving forward with the sale of bonds and determining what that plan is going to look like. So it just sets in motion the next steps. We will have some articles tonight for both the elementary district as well as the high school district for these.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E3. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board. Any further questions, discussion, or a motion?
I'd like to move to approve the resolution certifying the proceedings from the November 8th, 2020 bond election.
Second that.
I think someone beat you to it. That was moved by Director De La Cruz and seconded by Director Fong.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
Brief. It's just amazing to see how our polling was fairly close to what the actual results were. Just astonished to see that. So that wanted to mention that.
All right, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director Fong.
Aye.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director McNally.
Aye.
Director Flores.
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And that passes, and we'll move on to E4, resolution of the Board of Education of the City of Santa Rosa High School District certifying all proceedings in the November 8th, 2022 general obligation bond election. And in this item, we are looking at the high school district. So more than 55% of the voters voted to approve Measure C, a $398 million general obligation bond measure. All right. Do you have anything to add, Lisa?
Thank you very much. No, again, just thank you so much to the community and to everyone's support. And this will make a huge difference for our schools.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we'll go to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E4. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
So we'll bring it back to the board. Any further questions, discussion, or a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Great. So that was moved by Director Fong and seconded by Director Flores. Can we get a roll call vote?
Director Fong,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And now we'll move on to E5, City of Santa Rosa Elementary School District Resolution establishing a general obligation bond Citizens Oversight Committee. The board will consider a resolution establishing a general obligation bond Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure G. And I'll pass it on to Associate Superintendent Kevin.
Thank you, President Manieri. A couple things that I'd like to call to attention on this is that for one, that it is this is for the elementary school district. There will be another one for the high school district. We are asking actually in this that they be allowed to be combined so we can have that double service there. And just a reminder of what the role is of the Bond Oversight Committee. It's really to ensure that the expenditures are in line with what has been approved by the voters. So keeping us in check, making sure that we are adhering to the letter of that law and upholding the promises that we made. I do also want to point out that there is a blank on the form, and that is intentional, and that is because we do have a time that these citizens will be appointed, and at that point, that's when we would fill in that date in there. Are there any questions?
Yes, do we have any questions?
I do. So it's just a procedural question. So if we're thinking about joining the two oversight committees, don't we have to approve that in a later board?
The resolution actually calls for the allowance of that.
Oh, it
So it's
does?
written into there. These were prepared by legal counsel.
Okay.
Any other questions? Director Fong.
Throughout the bond campaign, what kept coming back to us was people were not understanding what the bonds were used for, the lost bonds. A lot of questions about that. So I know we had a bond oversight committee, and I think we need to be very clear with our stakeholders exactly what this oversight committee does. And possibly we should be expanding what we do in terms of information out to community, information out to our employees, our school administrators, staff, so they understand that this is a transparent process, that maybe the bond oversight committee is the job of just, yeah, the money went here. Yes, that's right. Check, check, check. Or is it more of, here are the needs. This is why the needs are top and why these needs didn't get met, so that there aren't any questions out there. So I think there's a full need for way more than possibly the last bond oversight committee did, or one committee combined, right? So my 2 cents on that.
Thank you, Director Fong. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E5. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Okay, back to the board for any further questions, discussion, or a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, that was Motioned by Director Fong and seconded by Director Sheffield. Can we get a roll call vote?
Director Fong,
Aye.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And we'll move on to E6, City of Santa Rosa Elementary School District Resolution establishing a general obligation bond Citizens Oversight Committee. And this is for Measure C. Associate Superintendent Kevin, if you would like to add anything.
This is just information to assist with what Director Fong had mentioned, and that is that the superintendent does have a facilities advisory committee, an advisory committee to the superintendent that is going to be established exactly for those reasons, to help make sure that we are transparent in that messaging. And absolutely, one thing that is important is to make sure that people understand what happened with our prior bonds. It can definitely be part of the messaging and should be shared along with that. So thank you very much for that input. Definitely needs to happen. So thank you. I turn it back to President Manieri for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Yes, Director Fong.
Okay, it's not a question.
Okay. That's okay. We'll move on to public comment after.
So, I'm talking to the choir here and whoever else is on Zoom. We really thank our community, all our stakeholders, everybody who lives here, who does not have kids in school, has kids in school, just moved here, whatever, for voting for this. We passed these with great numbers and we're very, very thankful. And I just want everyone to know and pass this along that the state of California funds schools in a very bizarre way. And they pay basically for salaries, they pay for personnel, they pay for PG&E, they pay for some deferred maintenance, some basic maintenance, not just basic maintenance, and instructional supplies. And there's not much more. In fact, there's nothing else for the kinds of things that bond monies pay for. We want a new building, we want new fences, we want new HVAC systems, we want whatever we need for our students and for the people who work in these buildings. So that's why when our community, we're going door to door and community says, I'm not going to pay anything else for schools here to get enough. There's already on my tax rolls. Yes, that's true. But that is because this is the only way that we can pay for the kinds of things in our public schools, in your community, our shared community, to get these kinds of things, because the state of California does not give us this stuff. They gave us a lot of money, one-time money. You just can't use it for facilities. It came with strings, right, Superintendent? And so that's why we're very grateful. And it's too bad in public education that we have to be grateful to beg for the kinds of things we need for people to do their best work. We're talking about adults and children and teenagers. We should not have to beg for us to be able to do our best work. And so we're grateful to the community. If our community wants world-class schools, high-class, world-class programs, personnel, people to deliver it, then it costs money. And the state of California does not give us all that money. So thank you, thank you. I'm still thanking you. And we need to continue this. If we ever come to you again, this is why, right? We're getting over $500 million, which sounds like a lot, but spread out over the schools we have with the deferred maintenance and the need, I don't even think that's 20% of what we need. I'm not sure, something low like that.
That will come out as part of through our facility master planning process. We will get estimates on what those expected and projected needs actually are, but you are correct. I know that it does not touch the list of items that are needed out there.
And so at the risk of getting a little bit political, property taxes are regressive, sales taxes are regressive. And so who's paying for this? Whole nother discussion, I should stop. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Director Fong, and we'll move on to public comment.
If there are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E6, please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Back to the board for discussion, questions, or a motion.
I have a couple of questions. And you took my words out of my mouth, by the way.
I always do.
Trustee.
I can read your
Long.
notes.
So, one of the things I like to see is regular updates from the Oversight Committee. We do get written updates sometimes here and there, but it'll be nice for the entire community to know what is going on, having their tax dollars at work. That sends the signal of, transparency and, this is what we're doing with the generosity of the bond funds that we were able to raise. So that's what I like to see us, having quarterly updates as to what we're doing. If that's too much, at least, twice a year. But it'll be important to have that information. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion or a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Director Flores and seconded by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Fong,
Aye.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally, Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye, thank you. And now we move on to item E7, acceptance of the 2021-2022 independent audit report. The board will consider acceptance of the independent audit report for the combined Santa Rosa Elementary and High School districts. The report has been completed by the firm Chavon and Associates LLP for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. And presenting this action item are Associate Superintendent Cavan and Executive Director of Fiscal Services, Don Toes.
Thank you very much, President Manieri. I just would like to start by thanking everybody in the district for helping us to get through another amazing audit with no findings. Everybody is working diligently to make sure that we are following the processes and procedures. And when something is question as far as how they should proceed, making sure that they're taking the steps to ask and proceed with direction. So very pleased. I'm very happy to be able to report that this is the third year running with no findings. This is an item that we would ask that the board approve acceptance of the audit. It's a little bit of an odd one because it is really just an acceptance, but there is action requested.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any board member questions on this item? Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E7. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Okay, back to the board for discussion, further questions, or a motion. Okay, before someone makes a motion, I just want to thank you for that work. A result of no findings is amazing. Thank you for all of the effort and energy poured into that.
I'd like to move the acceptance of the 21-22 independent audit report.
Waiting for a second. Okay. That was moved by Director Sheffield and seconded by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director Fong,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally, Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye, thank you.
Thank
And
you,
now
President
we,
Manieri.
thank you. And now we move on to action item E8, approval of revised board policy 1312.3, uniform complaint procedures. The board will consider approving the revisions to board policy 1312.3. The first reading of this proposed board policy change was presented to the board on December 14th, and presenting this action item is Assistant Superintendent Mike Shepard.
Thank you, President Manieri, members of the board, Superintendent Trinnell, and Santa Rosa City Schools community. Before you tonight is the second reading of this board policy. The need to revise this came out of our FPM, Federal Program Review Monitoring. And so this is updated CSBA language to the uniform complaint procedures as laws have changed and been updated. And also, I will point out that this also includes a section for complaints that are non-uniform complaint. So it gives us direction for the various different complaints that we may need to respond to as a district. So with that, I will entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E8. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
We'll bring it back to the board for discussion, further questions, or a motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Thank you. Was that Director Flores and then Director Fung? Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Fong.
Aye.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director McNally. Director Medina.
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. Now we'll move on to E9, approval of board member school site liaison assignments for 2023. The board will consider approval of these assignments, and I am presenting this action item. Board, in your agenda packet, you have the board member liaison assignments for this year, and this is an action item. Are there any questions? All right, and we'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E9. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Okay, back to the board. Is there a motion?
I move for approval of board member school site liaison assignments for 2023.
A second.
Okay, that was moved by Director Sheffield and seconded by Director De La Cruz. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director Fong.
Aye.
Director McNally.
Aye.
Director Flores.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. And that passes, and we move on to item E10, public board meetings via teleconference per AB 361. This is an action item, and presenting this action item is Superintendent Trinnell.
Thank you, President Manieri, members of the board, and those who are with us in person and online. AB 361 is still in effect, and therefore it is expected that every 30 days, the board ensure that they vote to continue to allow for remote attendance at board meetings, which also equates to our hybrid model. And so therefore we bring it back each time to the board to stay up to date, excuse me, with the ability to offer this option. And with that, I will hand it back to you.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? We'll move on to public comment.
There are members of the public joining us on Zoom and would like to comment on item E10. Please raise your hand at this time. President Manieri, there are no hands raised.
Okay, board, are there any further questions, discussion, or a motion?
Move for approval of public board meeting via teleconference per AB 361.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Director Sheffield and seconded by Director De La Cruz. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director Fung.
Aye.
Director McNally.
Aye.
Director Flores.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye, thank you. And now we move on to our consent items. Director Flores pulled items F5 and F6, so we need a motion for approval of F2 to F4 and F7 to F11.
Move to approve F1 to F4 and consent items F7 to F11. F7 to 11, yes.
Second.
That was moved by Director Flores and seconded by Vice President Medina. Roll call vote, please.
Director Flores.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye.
Director Sheffield.
Aye.
Director De La Cruz.
Aye.
Director Fung.
Aye.
Director McNally.
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye, thank you. And item F5, Director Flores, would you like to speak to that item?
Yeah, nothing specifically regarding any particular contract. I just want to say that I did notice that you've changed how the evaluation and metrics are being measured. I just want to commend, the group for doing that. It's tangible, it's measurable, it's something that I can look at and say, okay, we're spending 3,645 to train and support 45 teachers effectively meeting the requirements for the California Healthy Youth Act, right? So this is tangible, measurable goals. I just want to say thank you. I mean, this is the sort of thing I was looking for for a very long time instead of a very, nebulous, abstract sort of metric that I just couldn't wrap my head around. So, and every single one of these metrics has been changed. And then I'm looking forward to the second step when we renew these, right? The efficacy, to see if it's been, if it's worked or not, and what sort of things we can, say goodbye to because they weren't not, effective, and what sort of things we should do more of it because we saw that, they were able to reach out, they were able to accomplish what they were meant to do. So I just want to commend you all for doing that. And I think I'm speaking like 1,000 miles an hour because it's kind of late. And that's all I wanted to say about this item.
Thank you. And we're looking for a motion to approve F5.
Move to approve F5, and I second the improvement on the contracts.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Director Fong and seconded by Director Flores. Roll call vote, please.
Director Fung,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And F6, Director Flores.
Yes, so I did notice that these were, 2 semester long courses that were being introduced in Maria Carrillo, right? Psychology and general psychology and sociology, if I remember correctly. And I also visited the Maria Carrillo website and I noticed that there was a general psychology course that is being offered there, which is a full year course. So my question to you is this in replacement of the full year course or in addition to?
That is a good question. I actually, just a little bit of background on these courses. My understanding is that these 2 different one semester courses were offered between 1996 and 2010. Then that shift was made over to that 1 year long course. And with respect to whether or not it's replacing that, I'm asking my executive director right now to give me a little bit more of the background on what would happen once this course. My understanding is that it would be an addition, but I'm standing by right here, or we can just actually add him as a panelist because he's standing by.
Is that Director Zaldanara?
Yes.
Sure.
While we wait, I also noticed that there is an AP course. So it sounds like there is a high demand for, the humanities, right? So-
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this came from conversations with students that wanted to get a little bit more in-depth exposure to the humanities courses of both psychology and sociology. I just got a response from Executive Director Zelenardo. He says this would replace the year-long course with 1 semester of each.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
We're looking for a motion on item F6.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Sorry. Hi, Tim.
I move to
Good
approve.
evening. Good evening, President Manieri. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Trunell, and the Santa Rosa community. Thank you for bringing me on. I was on the ready when I heard that this was pulled for further discussion just to help provide more context. So thank you, Director Flores, for asking for that further clarification. I appreciate it. For Carrillo, the semester-long courses would be offered as a replacement for the year-long course. And so it would not require any additional FTE or make students choose between other things. It's just to increase exposure to humanities. So it would take a year-long course, and it would substitute it with a semester and a semester of 2 humanities courses.
Right, and by answering that question, you guys answered my next question, which was FTE, so that
Excellent.
that question is moot by
Okay, I'm glad we could
thank
help.
you. Yeah.
Thank
You're very
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Nice to see all of you. Happy New Year.
Director Fong, you moved this item, yes? Yes, okay.
Second.
And Director Flores seconded the item. Oh, roll call vote, please.
Aye. Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director McNally,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And we are done with our consent items. So we will move on to our G item, approval of minutes of the regular board meeting held on December 14th, 2022, seeking a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Director Sheffield and seconded by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please. No, you didn't?
It was me.
Director De La Cruz. Okay, that was moved by Director Sheffield and seconded by Director De La Cruz. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sheffield,
Aye.
Director De La Cruz,
Aye.
Director Fong,
Aye.
Director McNally,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Medina,
Aye.
President Manieri.
Aye. Thank you. And next, board member requests for information. Are there any board members who have requests? Yes, Director De La Cruz.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I'm saying this right. So I'd like to receive data around our suspension and expulsion with regards to demographic of the student, as well as information about representation by legal counsel in these cases.
Thank you. And Director or Vice President Medina, you have your hand raised.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on the request for information as it relates to charter school permission from other districts and us giving other districts permission and what the timelines are, but also if possible to find out what questions or any are addressed in the consolidation study as it relates to what happens with charter schools in a consolidation and what might happen in these issues. If there's any way to get information on that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there, yes, Director Fong.
In line with what I was talking about earlier in terms of bond and what we need for schools, this is a request for us to bring back that feasibility study we had on parcel tax. I think it was in 2020, early, right before COVID hit. We had a consultant for that. I'd like to bring that back for feasibility for possible parcel tax in the future for Santa Rosa City Schools.
Any other requests for information?
I'd just like to second that, but I know I don't need to, so.
All right. So we'll move on to our I items, our information items. These are listed in the agenda packet. In this section, we have future board discussion items, our board conduct and code of ethics, educational acronyms and abbreviations, our school site reports, and the Williams Settlement Quarterly Report from October 1st of 2022 through December 31st of 2022. And before we adjourn, Superintendent Chernell, any last announcements?
Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be serving with you and for you in 2023. And let's end our school year strong with more graduates, higher achievement, and more students in our district.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Meeting adjourned.